Let's talk about plants. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Greenhouse Talk Show with your host, Ryan Hunter. Now, before we get into the next plants of this week, I'd like to say that I left out some information about green algae that I would like to cover before we get started. First is that green algae is unicellular. Second is that they use flagellated gametes, which if you don't know what that means, it means that they reproduce in the water. Third is that, and this is by far the most important one in my opinion, they are considered to be the evolutionary forerunner to land plants. Which, I mean, that basically just means if without green algae, we wouldn't have the plants that we know today, and that is quite the accomplishment. And last, I would like to say that their cells will desiccate outside of water. Now, with that being said, let's get into the next plants. For the next segment of our show, we're going to go over the plants of the week. And this week's plants, we have mosses, ferns, pine trees, and some beautiful flowering plants. I would like to go over the adaptations of them with y'all, and I have some nice visuals for you, and I hope you enjoy. First plant I would like to go over is moss. I found moss on a tree in the park here at App State. I did forget to get a selfie with this tree, but if you want to go find the tree that I looked at, it was the tree closest to the bridge if you were walking towards the Schaefer Center. But enough of my mistakes. Let's go over the adaptations of moss. One adaptation is its desiccation tolerance, which is pretty high, which means that it can revive after dying, which is pretty interesting. Another is that they absorb nutrients directly through their leaves, and another adaptation is the formation of dense mats to retain their moisture. Mosses are very interesting, and it's cool that we can find it just about anywhere here on campus. The next plant of our show is ferns, and I did remember to get a selfie with this one and all the rest. Ferns are a very common plant to see around whatever area you live in, honestly, and this is due in part to how highly adaptable they are. Some of these adaptations include vascular tissues, which help with nutrient transportation, their ability to reproduce via spores, and water-saving features like their thick, wavy cuticles and specialized leaf structures. Our next plant is the one and only pine tree. The pine tree, which of course we associate with Christmas, has some adaptations that your average tree might consider Christmas miracles. For one, their needle-shaped leaves have a waxy coating to minimize water loss. Another is their thick bark, which helps with fire resistance, which of course will come in handy in a forest fire. And last, but of course not least, are pine cones that protect seeds. Being able to protect their seeds in these shell-like cones is an adaptation that some trees could, only imagine. Our last, but certainly not least plant of this week's show are these beautiful flowering plants that I found outside of the App State football stadium. These flowers work just as beautifully as they look. For starters, the reason flowers are so brightly colored and why they tend to have a scent to them is to attract bees for pollination. Secondly, they produce fruit, kind of like pine cones for the pine tree. They produce fruit to protect their seeds. Lastly, they have specialized stomata for gas exchange. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, I hope you come back next week for the amazing plans we have in store for you then. Until then, I hope you have an amazing week, and remember, if you're feeling blue, a little green might just be what you need to cheer you up.